Have to ask Dan if he started it, I'm not sure. It's not going now.
No.
But I don't know. Yeah.
I was just thinking, he had so many different points, so many different backgrounds.
Yeah, I know.
It would be good if we could have access to that particular file to be able to
Yeah,
sort of review, put it on time, but I'll ask him.
yeah, yeah. I'm not sure actually.
It looked like he was trying to record it.
I think so. And didn't know.
All right. Here we go. Same kind of routine as last night. Oh, it's going already. Don't worry, this is just a practice.
Oh, sure.
Well, let's see.
Oh, Steve. No, I was just practice. The meeting.
I just don't want to hear.
If I go first, I guess
We need to warm up to Steve. So, okay. I think we're good. Everybody ready? No sound. Oh, looks like it's going to be Rebecca anyway.
I think your software does too.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
It's all good. That's fine.
Do you want?
I
You're
do,
okay?
Even though,
Okay.
yeah.
Great.
Do I have to
Yep, you do.
send?
Just the eco thing on the right there. Thank you.
So it's been lovely to be here. I just feel so refreshed, and I do find there is like a peacefulness about this area. I grew up in the boondocks, which are just basically flat bush, and so this feels kind of familiar to that, and it harkens back to a time of, you know, being able to walk out of your house and see space and see fields and sense animals and living off the land. So being here has been really, really quite precious. And just for whatever reason, not quite as challenging, just things seem like needs are met here. So I really appreciate that. For developing my strengths, I'm just gonna stick with what I came with my purpose statement. Connection is really important to me. Everything I do think God wants us to bring together the themes in our lives and the people in our lives and the relationships in our lives. And I just do see continual convergence happening with that. And the questions that are being asked are helpful. I'm a little distracted by everything that's going on in our family and different things, but I feel like the questions that are being asked are helpful to provide a great focus. So connection, which for me I like to articulate as attachment, gratitude, resourcefulness, and compassion are the things that come fairly natural to me to empower and meet specific needs. So those are strengths that I feel like I will continue to take with me. And expanding my capacity. I need boundaries to manage my priorities. I think the way my brain works is a little bit distractible, and I have a fair bit of energy, but as I age, my sharpness is getting a little dull, a little more dull every year. And so I think if I don't embrace some boundaries, my effectiveness will continually go down. And so I can work, taking on a new job after being off work for about 3 months seemed like a little bit fast, but it does provide me structure, it does provide me focus and connection to people outside my home. And I feel like my role is shifted in the home. I was kind of like key adult to our kids, but they are entering adulthood and they need their father more than they need me. And that's a bit of a loss for me. So it's good for me to still be in places where like I can make a difference and people are interested in what I can offer. And I'm not sort of going, what about me? So I can work, but not too much. And so I need to stick with my 20 hours a week with my job, which is in my contract. So I'm just gonna be a little more black and white with that. And my health is really the cornerstone to live till I'm 80 years old. My dad lived till he was 79 and my mom lived till she was 70. And my grandparents were in their 70s. So I wanna get to 80 and to me that's great. And so I've talked to you guys about what I'm doing for my health. And being creative, it energizes me, but and so I know God's always going to have that there for me, but I have to stick within my boundaries. So, for example, I know with work, I could just delve in and get really good at a standardized assessment that I have to use. And I will work on getting better at that, but I'm going to avoid putting in 40 hours a week, which I would have done in the past. And I just would have slept less. And now I know I can't do that. And then spiritual formation, I feel like God is continually calling me to grow. And, you know, he's just like Laverne. Jesus has been my best friend since I was a little girl. And so I feel like his example this morning of just really living with purpose, but living with a strong purpose, but doing it outside the box is okay. I think I've found security in the box in the past, and I get sad and fearful if that box isn't coming together, the sides of it aren't kind of closing in on my life. And I realize, you know what, it's okay. It's okay if my family is not interested in being a part of what I viewed as that box, or if I'm not, you know, attending the regular ladies' Bible studies, and yet I still love those people. It's just God is reaching me in different ways, and He always does. It's just I rejoice in the opportunities He continually brings to me, and that just feed me, but don't fit. Like one of my good friends for a long time asked me to do a Bible study just with her because she's disillusioned with her church too. And so it's kind of like, yeah, we're coming back to being pointed to love the source of where we were disillusioned, love those people, but not necessarily what they do. And then the biggest takeaway for me is how my purpose is and can be tied to a longer term vision. That's the biggest one, because Laverne personifies the possibility of living with a deep, meaningful purpose, but having an impact without living inside the box. And his impact obviously is huge. Like, there's something really unique here. And while it's not the uniqueness that I envisioned for my life in terms of art and business coming together, I think I'm hoping that my impact will be encouragement for our offspring and providing blessing with openness and confidence given to our offspring, and recognizing they have free will. So there's no guarantee that our kids are gonna do well in life, but that if I follow the path that God's laid before me, I think they'll have encouragement and blessing if they want to use it. So
Awesome.
that's where we're at.
Thank you.
I love it that you're working with kids. You had said earlier that you want to be that grandma to the kids that your children never had. And what you're doing is you're realizing that you are
There's also that legacy part, right? Like, we think of legacy as like leaving something like this behind. But to be a great grandma is a very cool legacy. A lot of people, when they say who are the important people in your life, lots of them are grandparents actually. So awesome. Well, imagine that. Yay, Will.
Okay, so I'll just go down the list here. So outcomes and takeaways from this couple of days. So first off, strengths, developing your strengths. So two of the strengths that came up in my inventory were intellection and ideation. And I struggled with that before this meeting, thinking, well, what on earth is that? How does that become something real, you know? So one of the things, the takeaways that I've taken from this is that there's the transition between this maybe innate talent or gift to something that I call a strength includes some direction and context. You know, it's not like I'm really strong in ideation, you know, there's something else, that you're doing something else. And it seems really simple when I say it out loud, but it's helpful. And the other thing regarding strengths, the takeaway is kind of the permission, I guess, to focus on strengths or leading from your strengths, as opposed to always shoring up weaknesses or what I see as weaknesses. My personality is always to identify where's the gap and to fill that. You know, in my work, as well as, you know, personally as well. So that was a good takeaway for me. Expanding capacity, going through the little inventory exercise we did, the four areas. A takeaway for me is my physical health is probably my lowest score right now. It's been a downhill slide for quite a while, so I need to turn that around and start drawing energy from my physical health and starting to incorporate some rituals around that. And I did also note in my inventory, you know, if you remember the inventory, there's a bunch of questions in the yes or no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I found myself checking the line between yes and no quite often. You know, so I don't know if that's wishy-washy or just I haven't come to grips fully with some of those questions. So that was a takeaway. I need to be more intentional or more focused on, or maybe just more aware of my spiritual health, I think, and draw energy from that. I feel like I've been going through a bit of a spiritual awakening of sorts in the last 6 or 9 months, and so that's exciting. But I'm still wishy-washy, apparently. So I got to work on that. Dreams, following your dreams. I learned just from listening to you all, and of course from Laverne this morning, that there's levels. There's levels to this dreaming game. And I have some deep yearnings and some motivating dreams, but I'm lacking an integrated vision. You know, I've got dreams in different areas. I shared one of them yesterday, but they're kind of a patchwork. And I know some of you have some really integrated, you know, dreams, like there's a real purpose or almost a mission involved. And I think I need to work on that level of dreaming a little bit. And so that was a takeaway. Spiritual formation, green, red, blue filters. You need all, what I took away was you need all those filters to get a clear picture. And that was a real affirmation for me because I've always believed that. And 100% green was a permission to embrace that. There's always been a little bit of me going, well, maybe I'm not churchy enough. I need to be more churchy. And I'm not churchy. Just ask Rebecca. She's had a lifetime of trying to push me to go to church. And I enjoy that, but I have I guess a broader understanding. That was a bit of an affirmation and a bit of permission to realize that there are filters to this. And summary, what came clear to you from this encounter? What did I write here? For me, came clear was I'm starting to feel more of a pull to action from, the dreaming is good, and I still need to dream, obviously, but I'm feeling like I need to be putting more things into action. So that was just I'm not sure if that came from the encounter or it's just something that's in me right now. And a couple other things. Copyright your ideas.
Yes.
That's great. That ideation, intellection. That's me apparently. So I gotta take that into. I gotta learn how to
You gotta
copyright.
start making money on that.
It's an interesting tidbit. And I guess the main thing I mentioned earlier, permission to focus on strengths, apart from shoring things up. And do you want my suggestion for improvements?
Sure.
Or should we just leave that?
If they're positive. If they're gonna hurt my feelings.
No.
then just-
I think Rosebud is a great location for this. I found it, a really compelling location. So I wouldn't be sad at all if we did it again here sometime in the future.
Good.
And this last one, I don't want to say it out loud because I don't like it, but maybe less tempting desserts. And maybe some healthy, energizing snacks.
Good for you.
That's all I got.
Thanks, Will. Any feedback to Will here? You use the word awakening, and in the three encounters, you and I always seem to have conversations where you are recognizing some of that. So I see you, Will, as a serious learner, and with learning comes awakening, right? And sometimes about ourselves or what's going on around us. So appreciate that about you. Okay. All right.
All right. I did this over the week, so I really don't know. I have to actually look through my, I was like, what did I write down here again? Obviously, they weren't really great takeaways. No, that's not true. So the strengths thing, I've been working with strengths for 2 years. So to me, not necessarily anything new, just kind of thinking through how does this work? How does this go? What should I do next with my strengths? How should I encourage other people with strengths? Like one of the things that really bothers me about strengths is that I just want to be like, can I just buy everybody a strength finder and like, let's talk about it? Because I feel like it's actually so important. I listened to one of the Clifton Strengths videos, I listened to many, but the one thing that's really cool is that there's a guy who wants to use it for people with mental health issues. to give them a sense of hope. So I just feel like when we talk about strengths, to me, it's a sense of hope. But one of the things that I think I need to do more actively with that is just always to seek God's blessing on it. Like each time it's like, yeah, that's mine. And it's as opposed to what like Laverne was saying, like, yeah, I'm speaking here, but this is actually, I want you to listen to God, not to me. So that's one of the things that I have to remind myself. The other thing I really appreciated in the expanding your capacity was that spiritual boredom is a signal that you need to grow. And I think that was, for me, I've been feeling that in our church, in the church that we go to. It's very, very blue oriented, very structured in the, for the spiritual path, the sacred pathways, very much learning, can't remember what the ones was, but very focused on the one. And I think in my gut, we've got to have more, there's more to this. So I think the fact that spiritual boredom is a signal you need to grow was to me, I need to really think about what I'm going to do next with that. How am I going to pass through that? Like, how am I going to go from being stuck in this area and now find another way so that I can grow? So that was it was good for me in that area to just be reminded. The question of what if during the dreams, it can be paralyzing or it can be a dream. I think that really, sometimes I can get caught up, what if, or I have a husband be like, yeah, we can't do this or we can't do that. So there's so many times it's been stuck. Everything seems to be stuck, but I think I need to allow myself to say, no, what if, and start writing it. Just write it out. Just go. Don't have the what if stuff. Just go. Next. So, in summary, for this whole week, I think one of the things that I've really been set on my heart is the fact that, with the 4 pillars, we can use up a pillar and then it can be used up, and then once it's used up, we're really stuck. So I think I have to be more aware of when my physical side is down, or if my spiritual, mental, the emotional side is down. I have to remind myself not to allow it to go so far, and just say, no, I have to put something in place that says, no, that's enough. Now I need to actually fill up that power, fill up that pillar to make it so that I'm not coming to that point where I'm at a deficit and now I'm going to have to struggle to try to get back to it. And I think I realized that during COVID, coming out here was so peaceful. I counted how many masks people wore. In town, we can't count anymore. Like where I am, you don't count. You go anywhere you go, you always see masks. And to me, the mask is a very fearful thing. So for me, I had to remind myself, okay, mentally, maybe my pillar is too low. So coming out here was so good for me to, freedom. So, and when he said today, did you notice a sense of peace? Totally. Totally, it came in, and I was like, wow, this is like heaven, just like that. So that was something for me. I think super, like Will said, coming out here was it was a godsend, I think, for me. It was perfect. And what he had said about asking what are the problems God's asking me to solve? Jesus solved the sin problem. Now what's my duty? I think that one is going to come with me over the next couple of weeks and months, and in my dreams, I think I'm going to say, what's my problem to solve? So I felt empowered by that. And then finally, for suggested improvement, I do have one. When I was at Dan's cohort, the first time, everybody was there, and then the second time, one of the guys had left. And so Shelly, there was another person who was in our group, and then she's left. So I just feel like, we just kind of moved on, but we didn't actually stop to pause and give her a prayer of blessing for her life, a thanksgiving that she was in the encounters that we had, and for all the work she did put forward. But then a time of prayer to just stop and reflect, and just to ask God to put whatever it was that stopped her. We don't have to know any of that. We just to pray for her. And so anyways, that was one thing I thought of, because she was a part of, she helped me in many ways. Sometimes we chatted in the evenings or something like that, and she brought something to the table. So yeah, if there was anything that we could just pause, pray for some of her, and then just as a Thanksgiving, we may or may not see her, doesn't really matter, but just to pray, because something could be terribly, that she needs our prayers. And that was one of my suggested improvements. And I mean, that came out of the fact that in Dan's group, there was a guy that did the same thing. So, but then he was gone, disappeared. We didn't know him, don't know anything about him. So anyways, maybe that was just something.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We should, let's do that right now. Pray for some. Great idea. The other thing, I mean, we can be creative with this too, but I noticed when Shelley posted something or asked a question or whatever, when I responded to it, whether it was publicly or privately, she was always very grateful for that. She called me buddy, so she, oh, thanks, buddy, sort of thing. Like, so if you respond to her, if you send her a message, whether it's Slack or we can give you her email address, I know she'll be very grateful and she'll respond well to that. So maybe we can do some of that too. I know one time, sometimes when someone is missing, we all stop where we are and we all put a message, a direct message to them on Slack, all at the same time. So she's getting all these messages all at the same time.
That's fun.
So if you want to send her a direct message in Slack, she's still on there. She'll get it. So, but yeah, let's pray for her. God, we do pray for Shelley and just whatever turn her life has taken now. We don't actually know the details. She just it seems like she just made a decision that this wasn't something she could continue with. And yet I know she loved being here, and I know she loved meeting this group of people. So just as Jolene was saying, there probably is a sense of loss for her. And maybe she's feeling that more than what we're thinking about. Maybe she's really feeling that this week, knowing that typically she'd be here with us. God, I pray that you would just speak to her spirit, encourage her, this sense of peace and fulfillment we have here. May she somehow have it wherever she is. That God, you would just bring that into her heart and into her life right now. And we pray a blessing upon her, God, that whatever turn she has made and decisions she's made, we pray, God, that your hand would be upon her, your face would be towards her, her face would be towards you. There would be a deep connection with you through whatever she's going through, and that you would bring her to the other side with joy and victory. Pray in Christ's name. Amen. Good. Thanks for that, Tony. I do encourage you guys to send her a message, whether right away or later. Would be great. There was something else I was going to say, Jolene, but I can't remember now. So we'll talk later. Okay. Anything else? Moving on.
All right. Yeah, I'm not saying that too often to people, but I think yesterday you kind of tired me out with the planning, the course, the studies we had yesterday. So to me, it was a pretty big thing, making plans and future or whatever you call it. And or the dreams, I guess. So I've been working on that for a while already, and really I'm trying to start pretty much last year, kind of to get on it, you know. So we'll see where it goes. But anyways, yeah. So yeah. So my strength was in the achiever, and yeah, it kind of stands for well, I don't know what it stands for, but anyway, but I just work hard. We talked about that yesterday, and yeah, just get on it, and where I see it all fall into place. You know, that's how it kind of works. And yeah, and the Lord's. It doesn't really matter to me what I do, but it's just I think the Lord will just guide me and go wherever it goes. So that's I guess where it's at. My evaluation and plan to improve health. Yeah, so yeah, on that too, started well back with that a little bit already, but yeah, exercise. That's what I try to do, especially in the winter time and the summertime. I don't make too much time for that. Yeah, music. We've been starting to do that on that as well. You know, trying to create different things. Eating habits, you know, yeah, trying to eat less meat and things like that. But that's what we eat is meat, so that's a good eater. And also stress. I guess that would be my biggest thing that I should be working on. So yeah, now with the kids coming involved, they can take some of that. And yeah, just taking little pieces out and fill it up with, yeah, hopefully fill it up with the Lord's work. You know, so yeah, so with the dreams, yeah, like I was saying, I just want to have the Lord guide me, and I got my dreams, and we'll see how that all plans out. And just trust the Lord that, yeah, just trust the Lord. That's really what it's all about. And again, go from there. Oh yeah, so then that spiritual formation, yeah, to me that was, yeah, I kind of, I really appreciated that, because I think, what do you call that, spiritual
Pathway.
Yeah, well, that you kind of flatten out, you know. So yeah, so I can definitely see, I can relate to that. You do something different, and that it's, yeah, kind of makes you alive again. So I definitely experienced that, but never really knew what it was. So now we know. So awareness again. Right? So I like that part. So work on that as well. Yeah, and the summary. Well, that's pretty much what it is, I guess. Information, and you like working hard, and that's same as Vern. It's not that we have to do what you were saying. You don't have to be Vern, you know? But for me, I can. Yeah, that's the place I like to be at. You know, you like working. You like to at night. You know, we started to watch less and less TV. You know, we rather go into this kind of stuff or whatever. So it's just, and that's good mentally as well. So you're just always busy. The guys like him, they never sit still. They always go. But that's how they are. You know? So we don't have to be that way. But that's what he's all about. You know, and that's what I really appreciate from him as well. That's it all goes through the Lord. You know? So I thought that was a great message. So. Anyway, so yeah, that's about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you. Tennis. It's you, bud.
Want me to go? Seeing as it was right on.
It was right on the line. Okay. Well,
Or do you want to wait?
I don't know how to take you out now.
Well, then if just take. It comes to complicated.
Well, I can
Switch
do this.
personnel.
Quick question, Dan, did you, okay, you should deliver this message this morning? Is it possible that you'd be able to put that on a Slack so we can?
Oh, yeah.
Access that?
Sure.
Yeah, it was just so many great points that
Exactly.
it's easy to read.
Capture it.
Good one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Figure it out, Colin, so you're on, right?
Tried 3 times to send it by text, but it just didn't go.
Okay,
Take your picture.
great.
You can read it or not, it's another story.
At least it's still there.
You're not trying to defend it.
He doesn't actually read the map there.
I figure if I take notes and listen, then I'll capture most things. But then I can't read my own writing either, so.
Okay, it's been a great week for me. We tackled some of the things that I was dreading to tackle. Like trying to put, a pathway forward for a dream, which it was really helpful. So I feel I've gotten a clearer picture of, who I am as far as my talents and characteristics. I think it was really helpful to learn that there's a relationship between skills, knowledge, experience becoming a stronger strength. That was good. My Clifton strengths turned out to be all character related, not ability. So it's a little bit stuck as the well, it doesn't say here I'm going to be a teacher or this or that or whatever, but responsibility, consistency, learner, discipline, or order and harmony. So I still have to figure out how that all fits in, but probably, as you had said last night, has more to do with who I am, maybe. Yeah. Regarding, the 4 pillars, yeah, I've been doing fairly well, or at least I've been fairly pleased with 2, 3, and 4, but number 1 seems to have gone by the wayside, the physical. At times I do really good, and I'm sort of a person that if I stay in my daily routine, I do fine. But then if I get out of my routine, like I did, 2 weeks of holidays, then to get back into it and get things in order is a bit more of a challenge, but we'll get there. Future dreams. This will be a little weird, but clarity and confidence definitely is coming through, and the process of finding the way to fulfillment, that process of filling in all those charts and then moving them over and then having to figure out, well, this is where you want to get, that backward planning, I have to, want to do this, and I have to overcome that, and I have to resign my job sometime, and that was all helpful. So I found that process was good, and I'm leaving with a lot more peace than I came with about it, even if I'm not totally clear yet. Spiritual formation, the 2 teachings on the 3 colors of experiencing, I love that kind of stuff. So I'm going to email you for the notes on that and the 12 pathways. Sort of confirms things that I've noted, but along the way, but in a neat, concise, artistic way. I love all your slides. You're artistic, creative, and I could use some of that. So I'm going to ask for some of that. And I think that the sacred pathways is definitely something that I need to take into my ministry, because I think people can be blinded to the fact that other people's experiences in different ways are valid, instead of that sort of an arrogant, no, it's not like us. And I think, denominations and churches tend to gather a lot of people of birds of a feather kind of thing, which would be better off if we could allow for diversity in unity. Summary. So the future seems to be coming more into clarity now. Whether it unfolds the way I think or in a different way. I lay in bed last night and I thought, okay, so I shared what I thought. I've given it over to God, and I went to bed with a lot of peace and quite at peace as to whether or not these are things that I've been working on to start a ministry, or maybe these are things that God wanted me to learn for myself, and something quite different may come up. I'm not sure, but I'm okay with that. I suppose that doesn't really, suggest that I came into real clarity on my dream, but and then improvements. Yeah, I just have to say that I love being here at Rosebud. I think it's very inspirational, peaceful. I wish that Susie could have come because most spouses are here, and but it didn't work out that way, and I understand that it's COVID and the quick change. But I wonder if maybe the one recommendation would be when you're working through this, the dream, clarifying your dream, and the process was good. I wonder if a little bit of personal one-on-one feedback or coaching might be helpful. That's all I got.
Thanks, Bob. So would you mean like once you've gone through the process to make time where there's some one-on-one stuff going through that and
Yeah,
feedback sort of thing?
I thought that might be helpful, like even if it was 15, 20 minutes for each person.
Right.
Just to kind of give that feedback. You know, when you're in high school, you fill out these guidance department. I know I'm way back in the 70s, so I don't even know if they do this anymore. But you fill out these questionnaires kind of to uncover who you are and your giftings, and then they give you a list of possible futures or careers that you can choose from that you would be suited to. So I'm not thinking about that exactly, but maybe a little bit of a broader feedback to say, oh, yeah, I didn't really think that would be something I would have pursued. So, but that's not a good situation.
Yeah, no, you take that. That's good, thanks.
I still remember what I was supposed to be from those tests back in high school.
An engineer, right?
No, captain of a fishing vessel.
Cool.
Hey, cancel. Just a sec, I got a little scared about it. I don't like this. I like working outside. And there's some navigation or something.
Captain Will. All
I
right.
have to say for Colin, I see so much integrity, and I'm really tickled by it because coming to this group, I was like, oh, we're not pastors. And I felt like I would feel sort of like out of place and intimidated. And I do not feel intimidated by Colin. And the integrity part is, and I'm like kind of a little bit surprised by your questions. You're all about character. And you want to teach people what that could be. So to me, it just completely meshes. Like there's absolutely no question that you're going to do it whether you have an organization or not.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it. I've always thought that what I want to do, it's not a position you can apply for.
Right.
You either get asked into a small circle to do it, or you have to find your own way. There's no position. It's going to come up that I apply for.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
and we think that way about leadership in a way too, because people, well, I'm not a leader, and probably what they're thinking is they're not in a position of leadership. But we can say to them, oh, you are a leader. Doesn't matter what position.
Yeah.
you're a leader. If you're a leader, you are a leader wherever you go, even if it's playing a silly little competition out there. If leadership is called for and you step up, that sort of thing.
Yeah, for me, there's something aversive about always being that person that's on stage that goes up and says, okay, we've got something amazing to do here. And I, beat drop, we are going to do something huge. And for some reason, for me, like, been around that my whole life on some level. And I don't like it. I just don't, it doesn't, because I don't trust it. So I appreciate having a little bit more subdued actual leadership behind it.
That's what I appreciate about Colin too, because Colin, you're willing to learn right alongside us. You don't put yourself as a person of authority and a person who knows everything. You just calmly come in and say, well, this is what I think. And, oh wow, it's so calm and gentle, but you don't have it all together. You don't act like you've got it all together. You ask us too. What do you think about this? Because you're curious. Your learner comes out right in there. So.
Just sort of looking at something. Have we gone through? Maybe it's. Have we gone through the concept of armor bearer? Does that ring a bell? Okay, so it must be coming up. But it's this idea that Jonathan took on the Philistines and he was seen as the leader, but his armor bearer is the one that supported the dream. And to me, he was just as much of a leader, because without the armor bearer, Jonathan wouldn't have gone ahead and done what he did. But with the armor bearer, with the visionary, and the person that said, I'm behind you, heart and soul, together. So together they led that. And it's always a concept that has meant a lot to me. So some may be the Jonathans, take the mountain. Others will be the armor bearers that will say, I'm behind you 110%. They're both leading. All right. Steven. Woo! Wait for the applause to die. Okay.
Well, it keeps going in my head.
You just hear that all the time.
No, it was a good encounter. I was saying to Dan last night, this is the best one I've come to. I don't know if it's just how I came into it or there's more application. I'm not sure why. That'll just be something I meditate on and figure out what caused it to be the best one yet. Not the other ones were bad, but I just got the most out of this one. Developing your strengths, futuristic restorative individualization, connectedness, and learner. It was so cool to do that because it confirmed that what I'm doing in life and where I want to go and the dreams that we have align. Eventually, our businesses will be self-sustaining, and then we can just focus on coaching and bringing up people to be the best versions of themselves. So it was really cool that my Strength Finder complemented my life vision statement and mission statement. So that was super cool for me. Expanding your capacity. Biggest thing I took away from that is my physical pillar. I know I look great, but but it's, I don't take care of myself. Try to quit smoking a couple of times, don't eat healthy, all those things, don't have a regular sleep schedule. So I think we've noticed it a lot more during COVID and just the abundance being put on our plate, that physical self-care is, and it's funny because I teach it and I mentor it all the time to people we coach, but God's like, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Following your dreams, I had no issues with this component of this module. I'm a dreamer, always have been, always will be. For me, what I took out of this was simplify it. Pick one. Don't worry about trying to fulfill all the dreams all at once. So it was really hard, John, when you told us pick the one. We're like, so I rated it 1 to 7, and then 1 was the one that I have to focus on because I couldn't just start because I wanted to start all of them. So I had to change the method a little bit because just the way I think. But it gave me permission to dream, but the structure to be effective and fulfill the dreams. So really cool tool. So spiritual formation, very interesting how Gary Thomas broke down the 9 sacred pathways. I never thought of it that way, how I receive from God, and nature would be one that I want to kind of try a little bit more and just be in the presence and the beauty of what he's created, because I'm creating as well. So I think there's just a really cool parallel for me to be able to sit. And I was saying that I preferred Kingsfold as a host location because the nature and the quiet and the non-distractions, you don't have cars driving by. I was saying stainless steel distracts me because I see all the reflections. But I know every time there's a car or a person walking outside, it just catches my attention. So just that tranquility. Summary, definitely need to focus on personal and us more. Being healthy and whole will be the only way for us to achieve our dreams. Time blocking will be crucial as well as keeping our communication open. So what was really cool when we were doing our dreams is a lot of them aligned in different sections. So Emma categorized it here, I categorized it there, but there was a very common thread in our dreams. And we were talking about why that might be, and we haven't stopped talking about it. From the moment we met and started courting and buying her fudge and making it very clear that I was interested, to even last night, we continually talk about our dreams and where we want to go. So it was really interesting how God knit that together. So we may say it differently or have a different approach to it, but we're on the same path. So with some differences. So that's all I got.
Great, awesome, thanks.
As somebody who's not an entrepreneur, really, I mean, I have along the way had vision for things that happen, but yeah, you're so very different from me that I wonder how are you able to perceive and figure things out with that business mind? It's just not there really. So even us just chatting up there a little while ago, I asked you the question, well, how'd you learn all this? It's self-learned, you said. So it just showed me, how much importance is recognizing the gifts in other people and being able to go to those people where we are weak or need help.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't do it on our own.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that speak in our lives, personally, business, spiritually. So we've been intentional to find people that are further than where we are and where we want to be. And I don't know, coffee and chat with people. And that's,
You might get one more.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Knowing ourselves and our own strengths is an important part of developing as leaders. But just as important to that is valuing the strengths in others and being able to recognize that. As you pay attention to this, and maybe you have before, or maybe it's a learning for you, but you'll be able to sit down and have coffee with someone, and you'll be able to pick 2 or 3 strengths out just from seeing them. And if you are a person that validates the strengths in others, that's a form of leadership. is you're influencing. So just as we spend time after someone has shared saying, here's what I see, here's what I heard, that's leadership, because you're validating that person and what you see in them, which inspires them and empowers them. And you led that just by recognizing it and saying it. Do you see how that is leadership? Yeah. It's not just being on the stage and saying, okay, everybody raise their hands, everybody sit down, everybody. Although that's really fun to do that. Sometimes when I'm speaking at churches, I'll just do that. Everybody stand up. Okay, everybody sit down. Thanks. I just wanted to tell you what to do.
I'm also reminded, John, too, of the fact that it's important to use your skills because people are needing it, right? Like it is important to know what they are and actually use it. Don't hide them because there are people out there who actually have a deficit in your area. So give of yourself so that they can receive as well.
Good. Yeah. Awesome. 50-50. I predict Emma. I've used this thing a long time, but you kind of get to know it after.
Fair enough. I get really excited about someone I encounter and using the wheel name. I don't know why. I'm like, whoa, wheel name time. Maybe just all the colors and the sound. Probably is.
Squirrel.
Yeah, squirrel. Absolutely squirrel. Okay. So developing my strengths. I have a lot of little points here and I kept adding, so I have to resend you my sheet.
Sure. Okay.
It was really neat to kind of go through those strengths. There's a couple of them I'd actually never really had articulated in that way. Like my strengths are connectedness, adaptability, restorative, relator, and belief. And actually 3 of these are under like the relationships category. And I didn't know I liked people that much. So that was like, oh yeah, okay, I can see that. Like I'm an introvert, so you know, it's not usually my thing, but that relationship aspect is actually really important to me. And it was really neat to see those words come through on how I connect with people. And it's actually really neat because the other 2 are under the executing category. So it's not just that I like the relationships, it's like I like the action through relationships and empowering people and so it's been really neat to kind of go through those, and I'm going to continue to look through those and just what they mean and just understand those better. Expanding my capacity. So I didn't know that I could actually expand my capacity that much. I thought, you know, okay, like everyone's got a certain amount of capacity that they're born with, and you know, I don't have as much as many other people, and you know, maybe I can get a little bit, but I didn't realize that there was a connection between our 4 pillars and capacity. And I thought that was really interesting, and that when we focus just on those little things to make healthy pillars, that we can actually expand our capacity that way, and then push ourselves a little bit more. So I thought that was really neat. In terms of the pillars themselves, I need to strengthen some of those. It's kind of like there's a yoga move or an exercise move where you're on all 4s, and you got to move one arm out, one leg out. And I can't do that very effectively, but I feel like that's the same with the 4 pillars. When you have a couple of weak ones, you get shaky, right? Even one sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of my visual with the 4 pillars. It's just like you got to work on those 4. Following my dreams. I love doing this on my own to start. I thought it was really cool to think of just all the things that I've wanted to do. You know, when I moved out here 3 years ago, that was me. That was my reset for starting to dream again and figuring out what I wanted to do. And I enjoyed the pie in between the dreaming. And yeah, doing it together with Steve, bringing our dreams together and just comparing them and seeing what aligned and what unique dreams we each had was really neat as well. And just seeing how many of them aligned and what the different aspects and focuses of each of those dreams we kind of saw. That was really special to me. And it just kind of sparked something again. So I'd actually like to put our dreams up on a wall in our house, be it like on the mirror in the bathroom or just in the hallway, just so we can kind of see those and remind ourselves of those and just be encouraged by that. Yeah. What else? Sorry, there's a lot of things. Got a happy face in here. That's probably the only thing you'll be able to read. Yeah, spiritual formation. I really enjoyed the sacred pathways. I thought that was really neat to see the different ways that you can actually worship God. I think I talked about this before about I was given permission essentially from here to be able to just discover where I can meet with Jesus. It may not be every Sunday in a seat in church, it might be out in nature, but that's okay if I miss a Sunday, to the mountains. It's not really about being in a church every Sunday, it's about meeting God consistently. And I also like the one question there about which one would you be interested in experimenting with.
Yeah.
And I actually chose one that's like complete opposite to me, because I think that would be really, it's a bit radical, but I think it'll shake things up, and it'll be interesting to try and bring two of them together. So I'm a naturalist. I like my nature, and I chose intellectual. So like taking my Bible with me and reading it when I get to the mountaintop or wherever by a lake. I just think that'd be really interesting to see what happens. Yeah. Yeah, I think just like when dreaming, just big or little, like God can still use those dreams. Like I love traveling. I love exploring new places. I also have a goal. I have a dream of writing a travel book. It's just something that I never really thought. I just thought that'd be kind of fun. But now it's like, no, like write that travel book. You can inspire other people to see God's beauty and meet people and, support beautiful places like Rosebud. Yeah. So just any little dream, just put it down, write it down. You never know how big it can get. I think that's kind of it. Oh, this encounter, I know that was supposed to happen in the spring, but I think it's actually really good timing for me. Steve and I are taking a course at church, and we're focusing on lifestyles and like how God can be present in our daily walk and the things we do and just our lifestyle. And I think just going through this stuff is just aligning so well with the things that we're learning about our life and our daily walk and our dreams. And yeah, I'm very excited. Actually, it's tonight. We have a class tonight. I'm very excited to see, I'm like, okay, I'm so ready, tell me things so I can just mesh them all together. I'm very excited about that. It's really sparked something new and fresh in my life. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Great stuff.
You don't have to be an extrovert to be a people person.
Been learning that.
Yeah.
I think some of the things that are your strengths are very evident.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
She was first, but now she's last.
Yeah. Something biblical.
That's for last.
Developing your strengths, strategic thinking and relationships are my strengths, and I don't really understand how strategic thinking is a strength of mine, but there it is. Getting permission to hone your strengths. I think, why do I find that difficult? My dad, even in his Parkinson's dementia, has repetitively been saying, life is good if you don't weaken. So I would say that my dad's philosophy would be, if you've got a weakness, you don't you address that and you strengthen that weakness. But what you're saying, what I'm getting is that it's the opposite of that. So I find that challenging to think that way. In terms of expanding your capacity, what I take away is that these four pillars were meant to be proactive in. And I have felt like building in recovery and renewal as maintenance is really important. I thought it was interesting, the quote that stood out for me was when Dan was getting his physio and she said, "This is yoga for the rich," because it just confirms for me that like we all know the right thing to do, and we can all do it. But it's almost like we'd rather pay somebody to do it for us. So physically getting stronger, like for me, is like, I realize it's really important, especially when I think about having grandkids, and I don't want to be finding it difficult to pick up my grandchild, for example. So, and then if this dream that I've talked about comes to fruition, I need to be physically strong. So the following your dreams thing, I find dreams, it's good to backwards plan. I like that idea, looking at obstacles. But I find dreaming, I have this battle in my mind. And it's like this, I have to fight against this drift that's just natural in me, which is to move away from imagination. And I'm thinking, I find I don't think abundantly like Laverne challenged us to. And I tend to drift into lower expectations. So I need to battle against that. So dreaming is difficult. With the spiritual formation, I'm drawn to blue. And I'm just wondering if we're all drawn to blue more so in this stage of life, like if you, as leaders, if you have noticed that?
Not particularly.
Oh, okay.
I think drawn to Trinity is very valid. People will want to actually expand their experience of God in several areas, but there's often a journey in that.
I'm drawn to prayer, more like even prayer and fasting, which this is new for me, but that's what I'm drawn to these days, this last while. You talked about role shifting, Rebecca, and for me, it's like families expanding, and I'm letting go of my son Ben, who struggled with. That's my role shift. The benefit of being the last person to speak is that I get to, really think about all the things you guys have said, which is really interesting. Oh, and in terms of expanding my capacity, the surprise for me is I scored low emotionally. So I'm going to be pondering that, with God, like, interesting. I think that having this venue here at Rosebud is also interesting. Walking around the town, I've mentioned that it feels like a ghost town to me, and it's almost like this feeling of abandoned buildings. It's a reflection of what COVID's felt like to me, where there's this, and it reinforces to me how like relationships is one of my strengths. Like it's hard to have relationships in a ghost town. It's hard to have relationships in a pandemic when everyone's wearing a mask and physical distance. And then when we went to the bed and breakfast, your friends have got going here. I felt kind of stirred and disturbed actually by it. Because what I see there is they are building a dream. And my fear is that they won't be able to realize that dream because of the obstacles. And so I guess that echoes my sort of resistance to dreaming, really, is a fear of disappointment and So that's what I am. So that's- Oh,
Yeah.
and I guess the other thing is I've been asking God, so like, I guess I've been asking God, is it okay to dream? And obviously you would all probably say yes, because that's what we're here to do. And the question I get back from him is the destination the point? So.
Good, those are good thoughts.
I feel like if the destination was the point, God would not be God.
Yeah.
Because we can only articulate the destination in our own humanity, right? I think he gives us divine sparks, and we do try and translate them, but like Laverne said, there's too much humanity sometimes in that, because we are limited, right? But through him, we are much richer, and we multiply, he multiplies his efforts through us. But I think the journey is definitely the destination. You know, the value of the destination really should be put on the journey, but we can't, as humans, we have to focus on things. So that's why I think we tend to get confused, because we keep thinking, but we had to get there, right? And I just keep going back to Joseph and Joseph's the dreamer. You know, he thought he was, you know, he had this vision that his brothers and nations were going to bow down to him, but it took a lot of struggle to get there, and yet he remained faithful, and because he remained faithful, God brought it to fruition. But I don't think any of us can say for sure, you know, this is going to be the end product.
I think you're more of a strategic thinker than you think. Because you started off with a few boxes, and I'm thinking, where's this going? And then it ended up in a big vision.
Yeah.
With something that you're passionate about, your labor delivery, midwifery, you love the people of, in Haiti, trying to learn their language. Like, that's not strategy. Strategy is just how like my dream might be to get to Boston, but the strategy is how am I going to get there? What do I have to do to get there? So
Yeah.
you really demonstrated the strategic thinking.
Yeah. You know, the thing about the destination is that's not usually where all the stories come from. The stories come from the way there, right? The way to the destination. Even today, we asked Laverne to come talk to us about how this came about. I don't know if you ever got to that. It was all about all this other stuff that's part of his journey. And that would be the same, like even yesterday, the story is Corey, right? The stories Corey was already telling, and they're not even done yet. But this, you know, this is where this came from, and then this is how I got this. I ordered this from China, and then I had to actually tell him what to, you know, like he's already telling the stories of the journey there, and it's already of value. So interesting.
Dennis, what did you say when you were talking about Corey, you're thinking, and you said something was compromising your dream? What was the fear of? Fear of failure. Okay.
Yeah.
That battle comes to mind, wow, because this morning someone said to me, they'll never finish that house. And then,
That might have been me.
no, it wasn't you, but it wasn't someone in this room. So it's just, it's interesting to me how that battle is there.
Yeah.
You know, I go back to Awaken the Dead with that, like, if the destination was it, clarity would be easy to grasp, but it's not.
I even wonder if he himself has that. Like, yes, he's fulfilling his dream, but I don't even think he has it even fulfilled totally. I don't think he even knows what the final product is going to be. I mean, he has rooms that, yes, he may have plans for it to do this way, but something else may come up and say that's a better thing, and so he's going to switch it all up. Like, I don't think we always have it I don't even think, even though he's starting it, I don't know if he's totally finished.
Yeah.
And if the house is
He's
finished,
flexible man.
it might be the outside has to be changed or something else has to be done. And, you know, it could take 5 years, it could take 20 years, but for him, it's the process that he's living out and enjoying, you know. The one room is after his mother-in-law. Maybe, you know, that's wonderful just to see that he's dedicated that. And the other ones are after this summertime, maybe he knows what they're gonna be, you know.
Dennis, you mentioned an issue that you see in yourself is sliding to lower expectations. And, you know, I wonder if that's actually a byproduct of the strategic thinking or analytical thinking. Because with that comes a recognition of all the obstacles. You know, they come rushing at you quickly. You know, I share that issue. You can start with a big dream, and if you think about it long enough, you're going to be down here because you see in front of you how many things have to be overcome, so your expectations come kind of sliding in. I wonder if we can learn something from someone like Laverne, not that he wouldn't see the obstacles, but I think the dream is much bigger than the obstacles in his mind. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but anyway, I definitely have a similar.
Well, it's kind of like a paradox for me. It's like I see the obstacles, but then I realize that God is bigger than me and my limitations. So there's this tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When a guy like Laverne, that's where that phrase, imagine your way around it. That's all he does, is imagine his way around it. Just, there's another way. So, imagine your way around this. Assignments. All right, so the first one is the ongoing one, the Bible reading. I think actually one or two of you have already done it, so that's great. Again, we'll just keep bringing it up, that's sort of an ongoing one, reading through the Bible and catching that epic story of it. Again, just a little commercial. As you're doing that, if you're more of a visual person, the Bible Project is just a really cool way of seeing a huge overview. Because in like 3 minutes, these guys will tell you the whole story and they'll draw it out for you, and it's just really done well. So again, recommend that. So here are the assignments from this encounter, 2 of them. And this will be in Slack. You'll get all this. So, but we just want to talk about it here. See if you have any questions at front. So the one assignment will be integrating experiences, values, and strengths. So as it keeps saying over and over again, we need to keep bringing this forward. And as we bring it forward, we're bringing the important things into it. So as we go forward, hopefully you're seeing how integrated you are and how God has wired you and put these things together to make you you. And so your experiences, right? That's your story. Your values and purpose. We did that in Encounter 2. Now we've talked about your strengths. So this sheet will help you put that together and see what experiences led to your values, which also connect with your strengths. And the assignment is not as significant as hopefully the revelation that comes from doing it. That wow, God has really thought about me. You know, he really thought about making me. It wasn't just, you know, there I was. So you'll get a worksheet that will be posted in Slack for you to assess how your experiences, values, and talents work together to fulfill your purpose. You'll also determine, as you identify those strengths, you will also determine the additional knowledge and skill that could be acquired to develop those strengths or talents into a strength. And you'll complete it and send it to me. So let me show you here what that will look like. So here's the sheet that you'll get. Here's the instructions. You'll write down your top 5 values. You'll go back into your story and say, wonder what part of my story actually helped develop that value in me. So you'll give some thought to that. Then you'll look at your strengths or talents, right? So are you okay with sometimes we call them talents, sometimes we call them strengths, but really they're talents and you decide if they're going to become strengths. So you're matching talents that came out of the assessment. Not all of them will. Okay, I have a couple of strengths that I can't think of actually how they hook up with my values, but there are some that are. So all we're asking you in this one, if you have a strength that you can see clearly it contributes to values in that, then put it there, and then all 5 of your strengths, you have the 5 strengths, 5 values, and so you'll be putting those into there. Then once you have your talents, then this is where you say, okay, what knowledge, experience, whatever, could help me develop this strength? And then you'll say, what skill could I learn, practice, technique could I practice that'll help me develop this strength? And then the ones that match your values, then your life is starting to come into more alignment because you have a value, you know why you have that value, you have a strength, and you're developing the strength which helps you become more in alignment with this value of yours. Does all that make sense? Brilliant. Yes, good. So that's what you'll do together. And that's why I said, you'll fill all this in, but hopefully, there'll be some revelation of it, like, wow, I'm a special person. Okay, all right, go back to assignment here, 4-pillar plan. So pages 31 to 33 were the yeses and no questions. From those responses in the 4-pillar audit, the yeses and nos, you'll write down 3 activities or rituals, because the book calls them rituals, right? Rhythms, rituals, for each pillar in your 4-pillar plan worksheet, which is page 34. So in other words, page 34 is what you need to fill out, but use these pages to figure out maybe some ideas for that. You can also use the pages in your binder that Dan went through to maybe come up with some of those rituals. Following me? If it's physical and you look under physical and you say, okay, get better sleep, then maybe that's a ritual you want to work on. That's one of the 3 you want to work on to address that pillar. And so that particular worksheet will look like this. You'll get one of these in Slack, but it's also page 34 in your binder. So what things here will address this? If sleep's an issue, if diet's an issue, if exercise is an issue, then you're going to put these in here. This then will become your 4-pillar plan, which is one of the things we're going to keep bringing forward and ask you how you're doing. How's it going? Have you totally thrown it out? You made an airplane with it and threw it out? Or are you actually working the plan? Okay? All right, any questions about those?
Sorry, the list of what we have to do, that will come in Slack as well.
Yeah. The assignment list, yeah. It will be there, yeah.
And these are assignments post encounter 3. The slides have 2 post encounters.
Oh, did it? Good catch. Yeah, I'm all confused too, but you're right, it's post encounter 3.
This feels like number 4.
Yeah, I know. Well, especially when you have a whole other cohort who's also mixing it all up, so, yes, you're right, post encounter 3. Then what you'll do with this plan, because it's hard to do 12 things well, what you'll do is you'll circle one of them, doesn't mean it's number 1, but you'll circle 1 in each one. So now your 4-pillar plan, you actually have one thing in each pillar that you're going to excel in, that you're going to do really well. Because it's hard to do 12 things, but you can do one thing for each pillar that can make a difference. All right. Now, here's a little change because we haven't had much change. So we're going to throw in another little wrinkle here. But some of you will be happy about this. You're no longer required to hand in the completed assignments form. Remember, you had to send the assignments to me, but then you had to make sure Shauna got the completed assignments form because she does all the tracking. Well, that hasn't worked very well. Some of you don't even know what form I'm talking about because you've never sent it in. So we are smart people. We see that this is not working. So we're adjusting. So I am going to track your assignments as you send them in. Okay? So all you have to do is do it, send it to me, and I will fill out the tracking sheet. Okay? Now, and I will send that to Shauna because she's still the one that she's the bad cop. I'm the good cop that gives you all the positive feedback. She's the bad cop that say, hey, you haven't finished this, and you've got to finish it, or you're not going to graduate. She's the one that'll do that.
So now we can respond to Sean and say, John has it, he just hasn't told you.
You could. You could do that. And the thing is, Shauna will believe you because I'm very capable of doing this. So, yeah, I'll do my best to track that. I do keep everything you sent me. I have files and stuff that I throw stuff in. So, so even if I miss something and you do say, I did that, I can look, see, oh yeah, my mistake. And then, so we'll get it, we'll make sure it's all tracked. But hopefully this will be just simpler. You don't have to worry about that extra form. Okay. Last little piece is we're going to move on. Next encounter will be the start of year 2. So you've completed year 1. Congratulations. Our focus will change slightly from who you are to what you were made to do and how you were made to influence other people, how well you play with others. That's more the focus. Page 62 gives you kind of a synopsis of what the next year will look like. And then the next page points to what your CREST experience could look like after that. So you have the next year, and then you have the page after that, which talks about the master's degree. So Dan, did you want to say anything about MCL?
Sure.
Yep.
In this diploma course, if you complete all the assignments of year 1 and year 2, you get a diploma in Christian education. If you choose not to do all the assignments, you're adults, that's fine. You will receive an audit certificate sort of advise that you did take the course. If you would like to go into the master's course, the way it fits in is that year one is mostly about your personal clarity. Year two is getting a little more about how you work with teams and people. And then the master's course is how do you work with organizations. It's a higher level of leadership. And you get leadership theory from Dr. Terry Young. And we really dive deep into the whole thing of how do you initiate and actually succeed at change. 77% of all change initiatives fail. And yet, every leader is trying to make things better. That's a change. Every leader has a vision. That's a change. 70% of them fail because we do not understand the dynamics that are going on in change management. And that comes really clear in the MCL. And you have a master's in Christian leadership. Now, in order to qualify, the only people who are allowed to take the MCL are CREST diploma holders. So if a friend of yours wants to get a master's in Christian leadership, tell them, just sign up for the diploma. And then you get access to the MCL. Because really the MCL is all of the 3 years. Altogether, that's your MCL. Not everybody wants the master's, so we say, okay, it'll come for 2 years then. But we're finding that the majority of our people want that third year because that, for some, really crystallizes things for them. So we just tell you that's our plan and vision for helping you maximally do the MCL.
Cool. So if you have any questions, don't ask me, because I don't know much about the whole MCL part. That's more Dan's area. Dan, it focuses more on the recruitment and the MCL and alumni. And so, so go to ask him if you have any questions about that. As for us, here's what the next encounter will look like. The theme is investing wisely in your relationships. So again, it's more about others now that we're going to dig into. The first one is leading teams. So we will start year two with applying what you know about yourself from year one to how you lead others and how you would work best in a team. So we have an assessment that we're going to ask you to do that not only just shows what you're strong at, but how you would fit best in a team. And it's fascinating how it comes out with that. It actually shows you in a team when you are working outside your strength, and it shows you how much energy you're actually using to perform when it's not your area of strength. And it's saying, you know, if it goes too far, it's saying you need to pull back because otherwise this will burn you out. You can do this, but it's going to burn you out. Whereas if you're working in your area of strength, it energizes you rather than depletes you. Okay? So, second one is empowering people. So those with gifts of maximizing and relationships and all that we've talked about, you'll enjoy this one because we will focus on coaching and mentoring, as well as how to bring out the best in people, depending on the leadership style that the situation demands. Okay, it's called situational leadership. You have a leadership style, but certain situations require a certain style. So you may be kind of demanding, you may have significant control and low affirmation, but the situation or the person, in order to empower them most, they actually need more information or more affirmation. and less control. Some people need high affirmation and high control. Some people need low affirmation and low control. In other words, just tell them to build this and they'll just go build it. They don't need you hanging around watching what they're doing. They also don't need your pat on the back. They'll just go do it. And the others are different. So situational leadership, it's a fascinating thing. And I think it really can empower you as a leader. So that's what this is, leading from your strength. Again, it'll be in Slack, this assessment, where to go to find it and complete it. We're also going to talk about conversations. One is maximizing conversations. It is almost impossible to have a relationship without communication. So if we're going to be a strong leader, we have to get better at communication. And so we use a book called Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott. And fierce doesn't sound really positive, but what she means by fierce is meaningful, significant conversations. Not fierce as in angry, but fierce as in something's going to come out of this. And how do you have meaningful conversations? And then, of course, it's almost impossible to have communication without a little conflict. So we're going to talk about assessing, diffusing, resolving, and even a little embracing of conflict, and show you how it can actually help. Okay, questions? Rah, rah, yay, looks great.
John, do you want us to do the leading your strengths profile, like, as soon as you put it on, or do you want us to do it more closer to the encounter, like, or does it really?
I don't know if that really matters. Probably it's best not to do it right before the encounter so that you can have time to process it, but yeah, it doesn't really matter from there. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we are done.
Well, just, when is the next encounter, the dates?
That's it.
Look on the calendar.
February, January, February.
It's January.
Yeah, that one.
First week of February.
I thought it was January, like third week in January.
Yeah, something like that.
January 18 and 21.
Oh.
So, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Birthday, whatever happens in between. Thanks for being flexible with all this, right?
Yeah.
Because decisions, things change pretty quickly, and you guys were very easy to work with. Really appreciate that.
So one thing, just to give a context here, Rosebud was very gracious in saying, sure, you can come use our dining room. They charge us minimum fee for food, and we're not paying for the room at all. It's a generous saying, hey, we want to help you guys. However, this theater and the dinner here and all that thing is the economic engine for the whole School of Arts. And that engine has kind of chopped and stopped. So if you feel inclined to want to make a donation, a tax deductible donation to the school, to Laverne's Green that's going here, we'd invite you to do that. Anna and I have done that because we really believe in the vision of this school and in the way it's reaching people. Like pre-COVID, 40,000 people a year come to these places. That's an amazing ministry. Reaching people that would never come to church. So if you go to the Rosebud School of the Arts website, there's one of the tabs there that says support us. You just go in there and donate, and it'll use your credit card, and it's very simple to do. And you get a tax deductible receipt for that. So it'd be cool if we can bless this school because they blessed us by just opening up the doors. We'd love to be a blessing back. So we we'll invite you to consider doing that. We do have lunch coming right here, because we knew this is an hour's drive from anywhere you can get anything. So we thought, well, let's just get lunch here, and then you're free to just have the rest of the day to go where you want.
Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. In fact, let's just give thanks right now for this whole time. Lord, you are a good, generous God. Thank you for the reminder from Laverne this morning that you are all about life and abundance and blessing. And Lord, we want to enter fully into that. We acknowledge, Lord, that we come out of our own darkness where we doubt and we wonder and we're fearful. And Lord, we want to enter into this abundant life that you've offered us, this flourishing that you intend for those who will simply open up in faith and trust to you and learn your ways. And Lord, we thank you that we've been learning some things during this encounter. Thank you for the learning from each other. And now for this food, we give you grateful thanks. Amen.
Amen.